Good morning. This is the time and place for zoning hearing cases for January 27th, 2016. My name is Bradley Collin, and I will be conducting the hearing as a hearing officer today. We have 3 projects located today. The first one has 3 applications associated with it, and then we have 2 different addresses after that. Each are for individual variance applications. If you wish to speak, please write your name and address on one of the speaker forms, which has been provided by the front door, and submit it to one of our planning assistants. I would like to inform everyone that the official proceedings of the planning hearing officer's hearing are recorded as part of the public record. Notification of this hearing was accomplished by the use of public notices, which were mailed to property owners and occupants located within 500 feet of the subject property, physically posted on the site in question, and placed in the local newspaper. The hearing will proceed as follows. And I'll just go through this once, but this will apply to all 3 of the addresses we have scheduled for today. I'll read the description of the application and the request. The case planner will make a brief overview of the case, giving analysis and making a recommendation. The applicant will then be asked to come forward, stating both name and address, and will be asked to present the case within a 15-minute time limit. Others in support of or opposition to the application and any interested parties will be asked to come forward to speak, again clearly stating the name and address for the record with a 3-minute time limit. Lastly, the applicant will be given the opportunity to make any closing comments if desired in response to any testimonies given by preceding speakers. That will be a 5-minute time limit. The hearing will be closed and the case taken under submission, or a decision may be made here at the hearing. The first projects or set of projects we have for today is located at 417.5 North Brand Boulevard, business known as Beyond the Stars. We have 2 conditional use permits and an administrative use permit. And the proposed application is the operation of a nightclub banquet hall with on-site sale and consumption of alcoholic beverages, live theater, live entertainment, and public dance, as mentioned, located at 417 North Brand Boulevard. Ms. Duarte, may we have a presentation, please?
Yes. As noted, the request is to reestablish the operation of a nightclub with on-site sale and consumption of alcoholic beverages, live theater, live entertainment, and public dance with the addition of operation of a banquet hall. Nightclub and banquet hall uses are permitted uses through the conditional use application process in the downtown specific plan gateway district. And alcohol beverage uses are permitted through the administrative use permit application process for which the applicant has applied. The subject property is located on Brand Boulevard between South Milford Street to the north and West Lexington Street to the south in the downtown specific plan gateway district. The project site has an approximately 10,500 square foot 2-story building, which was constructed in 1936 as a movie theater, picture theater. In 1995, the movie theater was modified and converted to a theater intended for plays, performances, and live entertainment. Approval of conditional use permit case number 9587-CU was approved in 1996, which allowed public dancing at the Dinner Variety Arts Concert Theater. It was valid for a period of 5 years. And then in 2004, conditional use was approved to allow the service of alcoholic beverages for on-site consumption and public dancing at the nightclub. This CUP was also granted for a 5-year period. In 2010, they obtained approval to operate a nightclub with on-site sales service and consumption of alcoholic beverages, and that was also approved for 5 years. That expired in July of 2015. The building is currently vacant and underwent a change in ownership. They are proposing to operate it basically in the same manner except for the addition of the banquet hall uses. So basically this establishment has been in operation for about the same uses for 20 years with alcohol sales for 10 years. Because it was built in 1936, there is no on-site parking that's legal non-conforming in terms of parking because it's maintaining the theater use. Previously, 200 spaces were leased from a 3-level parking structure adjacent to the property. The new owners are currently in negotiations to obtain additional parking. It may be at that location, may at a different location, and I think the applicant will address that further. So the adjacent uses are one-story office, retail, and restaurant uses. So basically, the area consists of multi-tenant, high-rise building office uses. The proposed hours of operation for the nightclub banquet hall with the sale of alcohol is proposed to be Monday through Sunday, 7 days a week, 5 p.m. to 2 a.m. We did receive comments from other city departments, from police, water and power, and neighborhood services, which were incorporated with the staff report. Staff believes that all findings can be made for this project, as noted in the staff report, and is recommending that the request be granted. That's my presentation if you have any questions.
Quick question. You mentioned that the hours of operation were 5 p.m. to 2 a.m.?
Yes, that's my understanding.
And they're not open during the day at all for lunch or anything like that before that?
There is a cafe at the front of the building, which operates as a separate building, but no. For those uses, no.
Okay. All right. Thank you. I have one speaker card. Mr. Rodney Kahn, please state your name and address for the record.
I certainly will. Good morning, Mr. Collin, city staff. My name is Rodney Kahn. My offices are located at 1111 North Brand Boulevard, Suite 403, here in the city of Glendale. To add to what Mr. Duarte just presented, our property is located in the downtown specific plan area of the city. It actually is the Gateway District. We talked about the building itself. The building is very unique in that it was built in 1936. Something that's very different is you see a lot of these older buildings being removed and torn down. This building is not. It's being reestablished, it's being redeveloped, and it's being reused. Our request is to continue the operation of the nightclub with the sale and consumption of alcoholic beverages, with the live theater, the live entertainment, the public dance, all previously established on this site. The new addition is the banquet hall use, so we'd like to incorporate that as well. Also pointed out, my clients have recently purchased this facility, so they will be the new owners and they will be the new operators. Something different. They have a very different vision for this property than the previous operators of it. The building itself and how it lays out, the ground floor directly adjacent to Brand Boulevard, there is a separate coffee shop. You ask, Mr. Duarte, is this open during the day? The coffee shop actually is. And the coffee shop will activate this area of Brand Boulevard during the day so that you have activity, you see people motion along the street, which is very important for our boulevard. And then in the evenings, you'll have the live theater, you'll have the banquet hall use, or you'll have a variety of different uses that we're proposing for this location that will actually activate the boulevard at night. And that's something we don't have in this area as well. The building lays out, ground floor, we have the coffee shop, but you also have a recessed entry. You have a ticket booth, and as you enter the facility, there's an entry lobby. It brings you in to the ground floor where the seating area is. There is a large bar that's been established, and also as you go further in, there is a stage. The stage, there's dressing rooms, there's a whole variety of things that this facility has, which is very different and unique. On the second floor, You have offices, you have a kitchen, you have a number of different bathroom facilities. But once again, being rehabilitated, being reused is very exciting. What I'd like to do is go over the required findings. And if it's okay with you, Mr. Collin, in the interest of time, there's different applications, but the findings are very similar. So what I'll do is I'll touch on the findings. If you need me to elaborate on something, I'll be happy to do it, but I don't want to simply repeat the same findings.
That's fine, Mr. Khan.
Okay. So the first item is that the proposed use will be consistent with the various elements and objectives of the general plan. So as listed in the downtown specific plan, which this property is part of, Chapter 3.3 Land Uses and Permitted Requirements, the nightclubs, the banquet halls, and the sale of alcoholic beverages are all allowed. Conditionally allowed, but allowed. The downtown specific plan encourages a couple different things. One is encouraging entertainment uses in the heart of our city, and that's something that's lacking. This use, this location, is a perfect location for this type of activity, and this is exactly what the downtown specific plan is calling for. The downtown specific plan also encourages or desires the operation of a variety of economic activities to support this diverse downtown. The commercial cafe, as I mentioned earlier, will actually activate that ground floor, which is very nice because in the past it did not operate that way. It was just open in the evenings and during the day when most people are walking up and down Brand Boulevard. It was just a closed storefront. That will change immediately. In fact, the hours of operation, which have already been listed for the nightclub, the hours of operation for the commercial cafe will be Monday through Saturday from 7 a.m. to 3 p.m. So that just reinforces what I just told you. The circulation element of the general plan and good urban planning principles encourages pedestrian-friendly businesses which serve the neighborhoods and the general surrounding where they are located. This facility, along with the operations that we talked about and the cafe, is such a business. The second item, the use and its associated structures and facilities will not be detrimental to the public health or safety, the general welfare, or the environment. As I mentioned earlier, this application is predominantly a reuse or reinstatement of uses that have already been established on the site. So there's nothing unique in terms of a new establishment. What will be unique is that it will be operated in a very professional manner by different people of investors, folks that actually live in the city of Glendale, own businesses in the city of Glendale, and have a responsibility to the city of Glendale. And that's very different than the previous owners. The facility fronts Brand Boulevard. Its entrance is, you can only come and go from Brand Boulevard. You can't go from the south, you can't go from the north, you can't go from the west. So you'll have all the activity oriented towards Brand Boulevard, which is a very positive thing. In terms of the commercial structures that are around us, I'll touch about that in other findings, but we have quite a variety of commercial activity uses around us and entertainment type activities because of it being on the block where the Hollywood Production Center is. The next item, the use and facilities will not adversely affect or conflict with adjacent uses, and that'll lead me into the surrounding uses. So we have the Hollywood Production Facility, which incorporates most of that block that we are on. So we have directly south of us is the Glendale Federal Building, which is now owned and operated by the Amity Real Estate Group, and they have their Hollywood production facilities in there. Directly west of that is the Annex Building. That's where Hollywood Production Center is as well. Directly west of that, of the alley, and north of that is the parking structure that Mr. Werde talked about, and I'll elaborate on a little bit further in the presentation. North of us is a restaurant, and north of that is an office building. So in terms of being able to be compatible and consistent with the area, there are no uses that are sensitive uses that will be impacted by this type of activity, plus all of the noise and all the activity is internalized or oriented towards Brand Boulevard, which is appropriate. The normal development of properties in the area is taking place. Beyond the Stars will actually complement the surrounding properties and adjacent land uses and bring this much-needed activity into our downtown area. Fourth, excuse me, that adequate public and private facilities such as utilities, landscaping, parking spaces, and traffic circulation measures are provided for the proposed use. Once again, the use has already been established on the site. The infrastructure that's needed for these types of buildings already exists. Glendale Water and Power continues to have the capacity to provide water, electrical service consistent with the need generated by this project. Sewer capacity in the area is sufficient to handle demand. Other utilities such as gas, phone, cable are already available to the site. In this item, it also talks about parking. The previous tenant had some off and on again relationships with some of the adjacent parking structures about using the parking. Excuse me. We are not. We will have a fixed relationship. We will lease parking spaces. And right now we're in discussions with the Amity Real Estate Group, which owns the parking structure directly west. We're also talking with some other owners of parking structures in the area. One, because we want to make sure that as our building and our uses continue to exist, that if parking goes away, so for instance, if the Amity Real Estate Group decides to develop a project where that parking structure is and that parking goes away, that we still have parking that can be used for our business. So it's very important to us to have that parking available, and that's what we're negotiating now. The second thing is we also, for activities or functions, there is valet parking that's provided to people coming to the site. Right now, it's in front of the building itself. There are 4 or 5 spaces that have been designated. We talked with traffic about allowing that activity or allowing that valet parking to take place 7 days a week. Right now, I think it's either 2 or 3 days a week, which that's designated for. So we're in discussions with them about that. So as it relates to parking, we will have sufficient parking, even though the code does not require us to have any parking. For applications involving the sale and serving or consumption of alcoholic beverages, there are 5 other questions that need to be answered or addressed. I'll try to go fairly quickly through this. The subject site is located in Census Tract number 3018, which contains other businesses selling alcoholic beverages. And there is 12 alcohol licenses in this area. Once again, we are not establishing a new license. We are continuing an existing license, Type 47 license, which is active, which is in place, which will remain and has been transferred to the new owners. And that's been recorded and documented, and I provided that information as well. So it's not a new license. It's a continuation of an existing one. The police department, as it relates to the second item, has reviewed our project. They've written in terms of comments. They don't have concerns or problems or issues with what we're proposing. In fact, my discussions with them is that they're welcoming the new owners and the new operators to come here and operate this facility. In terms of impacts of not adversely impacting any church, public or private school, college, daycare facility, public park, library, hospital, we really don't have those types of uses within close proximity of our property. There is there's the chess park that's located by. There's the adult recreation center. There's some churches half mile or a mile away. All of these types of activities are a significant enough distance that any impacts or noises or any negative effects that could possibly take place would not impact them. So not only that, even if they were close by, the way that these gentlemen are looking to conduct this business, we are not going to impact the surrounding land uses. The parking I've already addressed as it relates to the parking facilities. The ability to sell or serve alcoholic beverages in conjunction with a nightclub and a banquet hall is an appropriate and common pairing in terms of being able to go to a facility, a nighttime facility, an entertainment facility. It's very common to have those uses together. The last two items, and then I'll wrap up my presentation. In terms of the nightclub itself, how do you ensure the reduction of noise impacts? The exterior walls are about 10 inches thick and cast in place concrete. There is also a conversion that was done back in 1996. The theater has double doors. It exits to a lobby, and then there's another set of double doors existing to the outside. So there's a soundproof corridor to the back of the property and the alley as well. So this building has been built to contain the sound inside of it. The last item, as it relates to outdoor smoking, if there is any type of outdoor smoking, the project will comply with the City of Glendale Clean Air Ordinance. That will conclude my presentation. I will be happy to answer any questions you may have.
I do have some questions. Some clarifications. On the plans, you had mentioned that the only access is off of Brand Boulevard, but the plans show on the lower level there's a roll-up gate off the alley. Is that something that's operable or used?
No, the roll-up gate off the alley has to do with if there's, for the stage, if there's any type of props that need to be brought in, they would be brought in that area. There's also emergency exit doors, which are required by fire to exit into the alley. But in terms of the functional general operation of the facility, if you or I were going there, we're not coming in the back way. Everyone is oriented towards Brand Boulevard.
Okay. And in terms of location of the different uses that we have, the banquet hall is going to be on the ground floor and upper floor, or just the lower floor, or what? Are we proposing where?
I think typically what happens is that in terms of if the banquet hall is active, it is the entire structure. It's not going to be where we're going to break pieces or parts of it together. The main operation is on the ground floor because that's where the main area for seating is. The second floor has some mezzanine area and has some restrooms. It has some offices. It has some kitchen area. So if we were conducting this facility for a banquet hall, it would be on the ground floor.
Which would be the same thing for the theater as well as the nightclub.
That is correct.
Okay. So mainly the second floor is used for more the function and operations of it rather than for the public.
That's correct.
Okay. In terms of there being a smoking area, is that decided where that's going to take place?
No, at this time, Mr. Collin, we're not being familiar or somewhat familiar with the Clean Air Ordinance. There's certain setback requirements. There's certain other items that we would need to comply with. At this time, we're not proposing to do that. If we come back at a later date to do that, we would then comply with whatever those setback requirements are.
Okay. And then you said the cafe, to make sure I'm understanding correctly, is open from 7 a.m. to 3 p.m., or is it open during all hours of the...
No, we look at what we would do is, because this is a separate operation, so we're saying that we're going to operate from 7 a.m. to 3 p.m. What that would do, and that would be 6 days a week. Sunday would be closed. And what that would do is that, once again, not just activate that area, but that has separate staff to it. That is kind of a separate business unto itself. And that seems to work well for this operation.
So the cafe will be closed when the other operations are going on?
Yes. Potentially.
Okay. And you've read through the conditions of approval?
We have. We read through the conditions of approval for all, actually, of the different applications that are requested. And I think there's some 23 conditions of them. We reviewed them, and we agree to comply with all of them.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Is there anybody else that wishes to speak on this particular project? Seeing none, I'm going to close the public hearing. Based on the findings recommended by staff, facts and information presented at the hearing this morning and other input received from the various departments, I am going to approve the two conditional use permits and administrative use permit, subject to the conditions outlined within the staff report. After the hearing, the decision will be prepared in writing, will be in the form of a letter sent to applicant and to those persons who responded to the public notice, either by speaking at the hearing or by submitting written responses, and have provided their name and mailing address. The date of the decision will be the date appearing on the letter. As it relates to appeals, under the appeal provision, Title 30, Chapter 30.62 of the Glendale Municipal Code, the decision may be appealed to the Planning Commission within 15 days of the date of the decision. Anyone wishing to appeal may obtain forms and brochures on the procedures from the Building and Safety section within the Permit Service Center, located on the same floor of this building. So thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Kathy. Thank you, Danny. See ya. All right.
Go. Our next case is located at 144 South Brand Boulevard. Variance case number 1527497. This is a variance application to allow the installation of a 60-square-foot projecting sign that is 12.5 inches thick for a proposed LA Fitness gym on the second floor of a two-story commercial building located at 144 South Brand Boulevard. Mr. Kiesel, can we have a presentation, please?
You certainly may. Good morning, Mr. Cullen. Architectural Design and Signs, Inc. is requesting approval of a variance to install a projecting sign on the Brand Boulevard facade of the Glendale Marketplace in the DSP Downtown Specific Plan Zone. The proposed sign will be for an LA Fitness gym moving into the second floor tenant space at the rear of this center. Approval of a variance is requested because the proposed projecting sign is larger and thicker than what would otherwise be allowed in the sign regulations. And then additionally, projecting signs are only allowed for ground floor occupancies, and LA Fitness will occupy a portion of the second floor of this center. The sign is proposed to be 60 square feet in area and 12.5 inches thick. The zoning code allows a projecting sign to be a maximum of 12 square feet and 12 inches in thickness. The project is located at 144 South Brand Boulevard. Staff believes that the findings can be made and recommends approval of the variance. I'm just going to briefly go over the findings that staff made. Strictly applying the projecting sign standards in the present case would result in an unnecessary hardship inconsistent with the general purposes and intent of the ordinance. Because the LA Fitness tenant space will have limited visibility, there are many large signs in the area. The adjacent Glendale Galleria and Americana Brand were permitted a number of large signs in the last 5 or 6 years. And then finally, the regulations for this type of sign, the projecting sign, are more geared for Main Street retail areas, and Brand Boulevard at this location really doesn't fit into that sort of classification. The second finding is there are exceptional circumstances or conditions applicable to the property involved or to the intended use or development of the property that do not apply generally to other property in the same zone or neighborhood. The city's sign regulations were developed with pedestrian shopping streets and commercial strip shopping retail centers in mind. Whereas the location of the marketplace really is neither a pedestrian street nor a strip center. And The second exceptional circumstance is the LA Fitness tenant space really does lack visibility. It's tucked away on the second floor in the rear of the Glendale Marketplace. The third finding is the granting of the projecting sign variance will not be material detrimental to the public welfare or injurious to the Glendale Marketplace property because the sign will not create an oversignage issue. It's not going to be there at the center with a lot of other signs. It's not. There won't be an overabundance of signs in the area, and the sign being proposed is attractively designed. It's not a simple can sign. It's got some architectural details that really lend itself to sort of the more urban location on brand. And then finally, the granting of the variance will not be contrary to the objectives of the ordinance because the sign will not create visual hazard or obstructions. It's about 14 feet above ground, so pedestrian, automobile visibility is not going to be an issue. It will increase the visibility of LA Fitness, which is one of the objectives of the sign ordinance, and then finally, it's attractively designed. The sign will be an asset to the other, to the surrounding sort of shopping, retail, entertainment area, just based on its design, and so that won't that will be an asset to the area and meeting the objectives, one of the objectives of the sign ordinance. So staff supports granting the variance with the draft findings and conditions contained in the staff report, and that concludes my presentation.
Thank you, Mr. Casel. Quick question. The projecting sign is going to be located off of the second floor near the Outback Steakhouse?
It's going to be located on within a sort of a vertical element in the southernmost portion of the Glendale Marketplace, close to the Outback Steakhouse, yeah.
Okay. And it meets all other code requirements? It's just the area?
It's the area, the thickness, and the fact that projecting signs are only allowed for ground floor tenancies, and this isn't a ground floor tenancy.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
I have 2 speaker cards. Have the applicant come up first. Speaker card for Milton. Solomon. Please state your name and address for the record, please.
My name is Milton Solomon. My company is Architectural Design and Signs, ADS, and we are the hopeful fabricators of the sign. So, Mr. Collin, I mean, I'm not sure if it's really necessary to repeat what Roger has done so eloquently. It's to go over the same conditions. I think that we've listened to it, and we agree with everything that, with regards to the conditions of putting up the sign, we agree with everything. We have spent hours together with staff in coming to an agreement with this type of sign. We've sat here at meetings, and it's been an effort, but we're very happy with where it is right now.
Okay, if you wouldn't mind, if you could go through the findings per your perspective, that would be great.
Sure. So, the justification that we have found, the various justifications are as follows. A, the strict application of the zoning code creates an unnecessary hardship for LA Fitness by denying it the same advertising rights as others within the same parcel and zone district. The current code does not allow LA Fitness to put a sign in the proposed location, allowing it to reach the same pedestrian and vehicular traffic that other businesses located along Brand Boulevard would reach. So the general purpose and intent of the City of Glendale's downtown specific plan is to ensure the downtown's long-term status as a good place to do business, as well as to encourage excellence in design and craftsmanship. So granting this variance will be consistent with the purpose and intent of the Glendale Downtown Specific Plan. B. The property on which LA Fitness is located consists of multiple buildings and tenant spaces. The site design includes a pedestrian arcade which bisects the buildings and provides LA Fitness with its primary access. In contrast to the other businesses in the parcel, LA Fitness, being one of the main anchor, in fact, it is the main anchor, has no street frontage or visibility on the adjacent streets of Brand Boulevard and Harvard Street. So we are requesting a variance because the site design does not provide LA Fitness with any frontage along these streets, therefore greatly reducing its visibility to pedestrians and vehicular traffic. C. The granting of this variance will not be detrimental to the public welfare because the purpose is to cater to the commercial component and contribute to the economical livelihood and well-being of the community. It is consistent with the goals and purposes of the Glendale Downtown Pacific Plan. D. Granting this variance will be consistent with the land use objectives of this ordinance because it promotes a wide range of goods and services along a commercial thoroughfare. And the final one, E, is additional related facts include that the city of Glendale has provided similar signs for adjacent businesses such as Bevmo, Glendale Galleria parking structure. Therefore, there is no precedent that is being set by allowing this type of sign to be installed there. Okay. So, Mr. Collins, if I go through all of these, all the justifications, and a lot of time has been spent in getting to this point, there is still really one critical aspect of what this all is, and that is it's a unique building. And the center has two levels. The problem that you have is when you have a major tenant coming in who takes the second floor, he is greatly reduced with regards to visibility. So together with the property, the previous property owners, the new property owners, and with staff, we came up with the idea that on the specific tower, it lends itself architecturally as far as the design is concerned, and this is the perfect spot and the right spot to give LA Fitness to be able to commit to a lease and say, with that, we feel comfortable that we're getting the type of visibility that we want. Really, it's that simple. It's the critical part is this is all about commercial businesses. We have a terrific history here in the city of Glendale, having been involved with the Americana, with Caruso, with the project right across the road, the Fashion Center. So we have a good history here, and we would certainly hope that we can continue this relationship and give LA Fitness what they really and truly need with regards to the sign.
Thank you. I had a couple questions.
Sure.
The projecting sign will be off of Brand Boulevard. Are there any proposed signs off of Maryland?
That's on the
east side?
On the east side facing the parking lot?
Correct.
Yes. There's a set of letters which is on the building, pretty high up on the building, and it's facing the parking lot. It's just channel letters flat against the building.
And is that on the tenant space itself, or
Yes.
is that?
Yes.
Okay. So the tenant does go all the way from basically next to
Yes.
out back all the way down to
Correct.
Maryland.
That used to be the theater.
Right. I remember.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, next question. You've got the sign off of Maryland, the one off of Brand. Are there signs internal, because I've been in that complex many times, that will make it easier for
Yes.
customers going to the gym to be able to find the gym? I know it's
So-
not related to this, but just
Right.
generally.
As you know, there's the escalator and the steps that lead up. There is above the entrance on that second level, which is very difficult to see from the street, LA Fitness will have their name on that structure. That's that metal structure. They'll have their name above the entrance.
Okay.
And look, there is the possibility that together with the new owner, there will be some wayfinding signs, but that's not specific just to LA Fitness. It's specific for all of the tenants.
Right.
It's, I think, a complex that really needs a little bit of help.
Yes, it does. Okay. Thank you very much. And we have one other speaker, so you may want to listen in and see if there's anything that you want to respond to based off of that.
Sure.
And the next speaker card I have is for Andrew Foote.
I apologize. I'm here to speak regarding the World Gym property on. I've probably
Okay.
written it wrong.
That's okay. That's fine. So based off of that, did you want to make any other comments? Or?
Thank you. No, sir, that's it.
Okay. And then you've read through the conditions as proposed
we're
by
fine with
staff?
that. Yes.
Okay, so you accept all those conditions?
Absolutely.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Seeing no one else wishing to speak on this, I'm going to go ahead and close this hearing. And based on the findings recommended by staff, the facts and information that have been presented here at this hearing, and the other applicable departments, I am going to approve the subject variance for the projecting sign at 144 South Brand Boulevard, subject to the conditions as outlined within the staff report. After this hearing, the decision will be prepared in writing, will be in the form of a letter sent to applicant and all persons who responded to the public notice, either by speaking at this hearing or by submitting written responses, and have provided their name and mailing address. The date of the decision will be the date appearing on the letter. In terms of appeals for this project, if any, under the appeals provisions of Title 30, Chapter 30.62 of the Glendale Municipal Code, the decision may be appealed to the Planning Commission within 15 days of the date of the decision. Anyone wishing to appeal may obtain forms and brochures on the procedures from Building and Safety in the Permit Service section, located on the same floor. Thank you very much.
Okay, good luck, V.
We have one case remaining.
Can I just say one thing, and that is to staff and to Roger, thank you very much for all the effort that's been put.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
We have a proposed variance located at 919 to 1011 East Colorado Street, and environmental review. The project is a proposal to demolish the existing commercial buildings, construct a new 4-story, 134-room hotel on a 3,500 square foot lot. This is a standards variance for height. And may we please have a presentation, Ms. Semititis.
Mr. Collin, yes. As you just mentioned, the project address is 919 through 1011 East Colorado Street. The project proposal is to demolish the existing commercial buildings and construct a new 4-story, 134-room hotel on the 37,500 square foot lot zoned C3 Height District 2. And again, the proposal includes a standards variance request to allow 4 stories when code permits a maximum of 3. The project site is a mid-block rectangular-shaped parcel with 300 feet of frontage along Colorado Street between Cedar and Adams. The project site currently features an approximately 16,800 square foot commercial building and surface parking lot, currently occupied by World's Gym since 1999. Prior to the World's Gym, the building was used as a billiard hall and restaurant with public dancing from 1992. the building is rather also unique simply because it's also been proven to be the original Bob's Big Boy chain of restaurants headquarters. And there was a historical resource report that was prepared and submitted to staff for review with regards to this particular building for the Bob's Big Boy chain of restaurants. But due to extensive alterations to the building, the existing development does not meet the criteria for listing on any national, state, or local register and is not considered a historic resource under CEQA guidelines. With regards to the standards variance, and again, as mentioned, it's for the number of stories. Code in the C3 Height District 1 zone allows for 3 stories, 50 feet in overall building height. The proposed hotel is requesting 4 stories within the permitted 50-foot building height. The hotel sits along the street front property line. It's in compliance with the design guidelines, and it also features a setback at the rear of 50 feet from the residential portion to the north, and this is also in compliance with the zoning code standards. All the properties along Colorado to the east and to the west are also Zone C3 Height District 1 with a maximum height of 50 feet. The properties to the north on Orange Grove and to the south on the other side of Colorado are zoned R2250, which is a medium-density residential zone and features 1, 2, and 3-story residential projects. The staff report went into great detail with regards to the required 4 findings. In general, the hotel use is a permitted use within the C3 zone. Colorado is located obviously as a major thoroughfare east-west throughout the city, and such a proposed project along a major arterial is a very compatible and consistent type use. Now, the granting of the variance for the number of stories would not be contrary to the objectives of the ordinance. The intention of the height standard is essentially an absolute number, but that is to limit the visual impacts of the large buildings and also to sort of somewhat of a lesser degree to the development impacts of larger buildings on the surrounding community. So again, it's listed as both number of stories and overall height. When you take a look at the 2 figures, pretty much the overall height would be much more significant of a figure to look at, simply because if you were to grant additional height, then that would be more of a visual impact to the surrounding community than it would be the number of stories within an overall height threshold. And again, all neighboring buildings along Colorado could also be built up to the same height that is being proposed for this current project. Second would also be that the dual height limit, it's geared towards typical commercial standards. If this was an office building of sorts, typical floor to ceiling height plates would essentially be 15 feet. So in general, the standard commercial building would be essentially a 45 to 50 foot height. Now, when it comes to hotel use, the floor plates, the ceiling to floor heights can be reduced because of the residential type nature of the hotel. So a hotel would be permitted within a 50-foot overall height limit because you can have the 15-foot stories on the first floor. The second, third, and fourth floors could essentially be 10 feet, therefore, being consistent with the overall building height of 50, whereas a standard office building would not be able to go ahead and have 4 stories within a 50-foot height limit. Last would be that the particular hotel use is an all-suites hotel that provides amenities for its hotel guests in terms of having a breakfast bar, an additional gym and fitness and meeting rooms and whatnot, the business center. All of these take up space within the building. It's approximately a third of the ground floor use, and so that additional floor is helping to offset the area on the ground floor that's being devoted to such common amenities that are not required for a typical office commercial building. So With that said, it seems that the height limit applying both absolute numbers to this hotel project would be an unnecessary hardship. Granting of the variance, the additional findings would not be detrimentally impactful to the public welfare or the properties or neighborhood developments. It has been designed to be sensitive to the surrounding projects. It does provide a 50-foot separation from the residential projects and uses to the north along Orange Grove. And given that the Colorado Street is a major arterial and it's with essentially commercial uses that are complementary, there would be no other impact to the adjacent commercial uses. A technical memo was submitted by the applicant, which essentially noted the fact that the trip generations, due to the change of use and the intensification on site, would not lead to a significant traffic impact or an increase. It would not generate more than 50 trips in both either the AM or the PM peak hours. Also, an initial study was conducted for this particular project. 17 environmental factors were assessed, and the hotel development was found not to have any potential impacts to the surrounding neighborhood. Staff concluded that the proposal, again, would not have any significant impacts neighborhoods, and so a negative declaration was ultimately prepared, and that would have to be decided upon you prior to making your determination with regards to the use variance request. Other than that, the project, if approved, would have to go through the design review board for review and approval of its site planning, the mass and scale, and the architectural style. Its use has been determined to be compatible with both the existing and the surrounding uses, and staff ultimately recommends approval of the use variance for that additional floor within the permitted 50-foot height limit. There were 13 conditions of approval that were included in the staff report, as well as the initial study and the final negative declaration for your review. We had 2 individuals who contacted staff. One was an individual from the Gold's Gym Management with regards to their lease with a current property owner, and the fact that the lease does not run out and there is actually an option to renew. And so when it comes to lease and contract matters, that's typically a civil legal matter between the existing tenant and the property owner. So nothing more in terms of the actual variance request was mentioned. There was also a neighboring property owner who came in and just requesting basic information. Also of note, the current parking lot appears to be used as an overflow parking lot for Palladio Banquet Hall, and it is noted in the conditions of approval for Palladio Banquet Hall. So if this particular parking lot use is ultimately redeveloped with a hotel use, the previous use variance and conditional use permit for the Palladio Banquet Hall would have to be reassessed simply because their off-site parking is now being eliminated. So that concludes staff's presentation. I'm available to answer any questions you may have, and I know the applicant is in the audience and ready to speak as well.
Thank you, Ms. Semititis. One quick clarification. The request is for a number of stories, not for the use. Use is permitted within the zone, and all other zoning code requirements are being complied with. Is that correct?
That is correct. So it would only be for the number of stories, not for the overall height, and it is it is fully in compliance with all other zoning standards.
And if approved, would be required to go before the design review board for review of any massing, scale, architectural design, and so on.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you. I'm going to ask the applicant to come up first, but just a note to all that are here, I've got several speaker cards, and there won't be in any particular order. Got another one? The applicant will be given time to speak. Everybody else that's here will be given an opportunity. If someone, thank you, happens to speak before you that happens to have already said what you wanted to say, you want to just quickly get up and say, my comments have been addressed, so I have an understanding that, what it is your concerns are and that it's been already mentioned by somebody else, so we're not duplicating the same testimony, and that way we can get through everybody in a timely way. We want to make sure that we hear from everyone. So the first speaker card I have is R. Malajijan.
Yes, sir.
Please
Yeah.
state your name and address.
Good morning,
please.
Mr. Collin. I am Aram Alajajian. The address is 320 Arden, Suite 120, City of Glendale. I'm the project architect and the applicant for this project. First of all, I want to thank Villas Mentidas for doing very thorough explanation of 4 findings. I don't want to. I know that there are many speakers here. We want to hear everybody, and their concerns and so forth. And I want to be very brief here. I don't want to go over every findings and elaborate it again because it's already been done. If you want me to, I will go and highlight all the 4 findings
That
for
would be
the
great.
approval.
Please.
Okay. Basically, I wanted to speak about what are we here for. As staff has mentioned in their report, and Vilya was kind of reading off of it, we do have a 37,500 square feet property here, which is currently occupied by a commercial building, World Gym, and prior to that was a restaurant there and a billiard. The proposed project is a hotel. It's very comparable with the commercial uses. The use itself, the C3 zones allows to have a hotel on the property, and comparably, the hotels are the most comparable most comparable uses to residential zones than rather having something commercial like a medical buildings or any other commercial buildings on that property. So, saying that, what are we here asking for? The zoning code permits us to go 50 feet in height. And a 50 feet is basically the absolute height that the bulk of the building could be sitting on. And we are here to ask number of stories within that 50 feet height limitation. We're not asking to increase the height. We're not asking to increase the, FAR, which is floor area ratio and so forth. So what we're asking to fit another story, another level within that 50 feet of a bulk of the building. So the first finding is for the zoning code calls out for the 3-story within the 50 feet. The hardship there is that 50 feet is designated for most of the commercial buildings, such as office buildings, and floor-to-floor heights in the office buildings normally go anywhere from 12 to 15 feet, 14 feet, depending on the type of use. For this type of a use, which is closer to the residential or a hotel use, it's only required 10 feet floor-to-floor height, which allows us to have that volume to be used for another story there. So, as far as the zoning code and the bulk of the building is concerned, we're not asking any additional height. The visual impact would be the same. If we did a 3-story building there, it would be almost the same building as you can see it on the plans right now. Now the building itself, it sits about 50 feet from the northern property line, which is the residential, abutting the residential, and is basically sitting on the commercial corridor here. We have done a parking study, which shows that parking circulation mainly would be situated on the subterranean level. We will have the rear 50 feet basically for transition and a drop-off area for the hotel. Hotel will be facing to the street, and a driveway ramp would lead us down to the lower basement parking, which will accommodate all the required 134 parking spaces for 134 rooms. Now, granting the variance would be very consistent with the surrounding neighborhood and the commercial uses, because it's basically a use that is permitted by the zone, and it doesn't violate the height or a bulk of the structure itself. If it was going to be an office building, it could have been the same height, or you would see the same massing or probably more massive building than the hotel is right now. Now, the code section also is implicated basically for the visual impact. The height, which is highlighting the height limitation, is the 50 feet. What we indicated here is the 50 feet will contain the first level, which is some of it will be common amenities, and most of it would be the rooms, and the second and third and fourth levels will have basically the residential units there. Now, what we are asking here is basically we're asking for a number of stories. We're not asking for the variance will be asking only for to have 4 stories instead of 3-story. But we're not going to violate the height. We're not going to violate the FAR or whatever the other requirements are. We're not asking any deviation from the code on that one. So that's my presentation. I'll be happy to answer any question you have.
Thank you. I do have a couple questions.
Sure.
Looking at the site plan, the parking spaces that are on grade
Yes.
are, and correct me if I'm wrong, it appears that they are only facing the hotel toward the south. There's no parking spaces facing the north.
Yes.
Is that correct?
Yes, that's very correct. The parking spaces, mainly on the ground level, which is the street level, will be facing to the building, so they're designated to for the people with the ADA accessibility, also as a registration parking for the hotel, and the headlights would be facing, towards the building. If you consider that way, we're providing about 5 feet of a landscaping strip north of the property line throughout the property, which will create a very nice buffer between the north residential units towards the south, hotel building here.
And is there also proposed along the north any sort of wall or fence?
Yes, there would be
how high?
Per code there would be a 6-foot high wall, which is permitted per code. That would be a screen fence, screening the parking area and the first floor basically from the view of the northern units.
Are there any parking lot lighting proposed along that planter at the rear?
There are no special lighting proposed, and all the lighting will be directed towards the parking lot and the building.
Okay, and then also on the site plan, it's showing several trees located along the north property line.
Correct.
Which will...
That's our intention, to create a nice green buffer between our project and the northern residential area.
And is there only one driveway serving the site? It looks like it's
yes,
on
correct.
The
eastern driveway
side.
will be serving the site, and it'd be circulating through the project, and we have a ramp which would be basically located on the closer to the western point of the building, and will ramp down. All the rest of the parking would be on the subterranean level.
And the location for trash and recycling, is that within the structure down below?
Yes, it's at the lower level. It's indicated, I believe, on the floor plan, lower floor plan.
Okay. And then I guess my last question, if you were hypothetically to meet the 3 stories, what would that do to the project?
Well, first of all, let me tell you what the benefits are for the 4th story. We basically, if we go with a permitted 3-story, 3 levels, we will be reducing down to 87, and it creates a hardship as far as securing the flagships such as Elegant Hotel, as Holiday Inn Suites. This will be a suites hotel only, and as Willie has mentioned, the amenities on the first floor are complimentary breakfast, but they are provided by the hotel. Now, eliminating that entire one floor, we'll be cutting down like 38 keys out of the hotel. which financially I think it's not beneficial to my client or for the hotel use by itself. Also, it's financially not good for the city because, as we know, the room tax is helping the entire city for, as a tax base.
Okay.
All right.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
The next speaker card I have is for Rodney Kahn.
Good morning again, Mr. Collin. My name is Rodney Kahn. I'm here simply to support this application and this request. And I want to hit on a couple highlights that I heard that I think needs to be reemphasized. First and foremost, I think that a hotel in this location is an excellent land use. And I know we're here to talk about the number of stories, but I want to establish that the land use itself for this location would be excellent for the city of Glendale and for that neighborhood. It would add vitality. It would add economic stability to this area. The second thing is the city of Glendale, as you know, is in need of these types of facilities. You have a business population that's growing. You have a city that is growing, and hotels are a much, much needed commodity for that. What I heard in Ms. Zimataitis' presentation that struck me and was emphasized by the architect was that the reason for the additional story. The reason for the additional story is because of the amenities that are being provided. So if you have, and I wrote down everything from a business center to a meeting area to a fitness center to a lifestyle lounge to a lobby, all of these are amenities for visitors to the hotel. If you remove that floor, those amenities go away. In addition to, as was pointed out, a major brand, the Hilton brand, coming to this location is a very strong asset. It's a necessary ingredient to have this project financed. It's a necessary ingredient to have this project built. I've worked on other projects in the city of Glendale, and one comes to mind, which is the facility, the senior facility across from Glendale Adventist on Chevy Chase Drive. We had a very similar circumstance. We were in the C3 zone, Height District 1. We had to do an additional story, and the justifications and the reasons for that were very similar to this, because in that type of facility, they had a number of amenities, slightly different amenities, that they were providing in terms of being able to have that additional story within the same building envelope. That was approved, it was built, and it functions very nicely right now as we speak. The only other thing I'd like to add is it's very encouraging to hear, as you kind of pointed out, I think there is a buffer off the north end, the buffer being the setback of the building, the buffer being the landscaping adjacent, and even the use itself, Mr. Collin. The use itself it is the least impactful use. If there is another commercial activity use that comes in here, and there's a wide variety of uses that can come in here, both reasonable and unreasonable, this type of hotel will actually be the most compatible and most reasonable use for this location. So I hope that you take it into consideration. I hope you grant this request. Thank you very much.
Thank you. And the next speaker card I have is for, forgive me if I'm not pronouncing the name correctly, Greg Abrahamian. Did I get close on the pronunciation?
Perfect, thank you.
Please state your name and address for the record, please.
The name is Greg Abrahamian. It's in regards to 1001 East Colorado Boulevard, the World Gym. I'm the managing partner and owner of the gym. Just wanted to go on record saying that we have been in the community now for almost 17 years, servicing the people of Glendale, providing workout needs for them. although this project looks beautiful and I realize we're on an older building and looking around Glendale, I see what's happening. We'd like to just figure out what would happen to a customer base of roughly around 6,000 people that work out at the gym every day. And we'd like to actually we'd like to continue to serve the community as we have been all these years and stay in the facility as is, with the notion that the landlords would have done something for us when we signed a lease with them about 3 years ago to continue on and provide a service. So just want to kind of speak my piece. Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Collins.
Next, I have Francisco Rogito. Did I get that right?
Yeah, Francisco Rosito.
It's an S. Thank you.
Good morning. I'm a Glendale resident since 1990. I live at 300 North Cedar, not too far from here. I am being a member from the World Gym since 2003. And 2 years later, I got my membership, my certificate as a personal trainer, and I'm working there as a personal trainer since then. So I'm working there for 10 years. The only thing that I can say, even though this World Gym is a small gym community compared with the other big corporations that we have in Glendale, but we are like a family-oriented place. I can tell that for all these years that I have been working there, it's not only my job, but it's like another family for me. So, if it's I think not only me, I talk with other members of the gym, and they have the same idea that even though it's not perfect, other things could be done depending on the ownership of the gym. But most of the people are happy with the gym and with the location. And as I said, it's a community gym. We have been here for 17 years. So I just want to consider this emotional part of the. Sometimes people think just about the business itself, but the emotional part I think is important too, because the community, we live in Glendale for many years. So thank you very much.
I have a question, I'm sorry. And what are your thoughts on the request for a variance to have 4 stories rather than 3 stories?
I think rules have to be followed. If that is a rule, I'm not very concerned about the specifics. I am not very familiar with the specific what is right or not. But if that is a rule must be followed. So that's my only thing about that.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome, sir.
The next speaker I have is Christopher Hammer. Please state your name and address for the record, please.
My name is Christopher Hammer. I live at 1523 East Windsor, 202A. I've been a Glendale resident and owner for about 25 years. I've been a membership of World Gym for going on 5 years. And I'd like to point out that the World Gym is not just a business. It is an important community resource that services the people in our part of town. I have tried going to 24-hour fitness, where I must drive through a much denser traffic area and pay more to park my car than what it costs me as a gym membership at the World Gym. For a while, I had memberships in both because I simply could not afford to pay so much for parking. And I finally just canceled the 24-hour fitness because the World Gym is better for me. I'd like to point out that you would have hundreds of people here if they didn't work and were unable to come. I'm one of those people that is there at 5 o'clock every day when I'm not traveling, because I'm retired, so I could be here this morning. But of all the people that I've talked to who depend on this gym, they couldn't be here today because they're at their jobs. So what you see in this audience is a small part of the people that care about this gym and about what it does for this community. There are people from Glendale High School who come here. It services them. Many of the members walk to this gym. Others take bicycles to the gym. Parking is free. This is not a replaceable resource by something downtown. This is important to all of us.
Okay, thank you. And what are your thoughts on 4 stories versus 3 stories?
I don't care if there are 5,000 stories. Building a hotel in this location is a tremendous mistake. It's not where a hotel belongs, it's where our gym belongs.
Okay, thank you. Next, Matthew Moore. Again, if anyone has already stated something that you were wishing to state, please let me know and we'll keep moving through.
Good morning. This is my first time speaking at something like this, so I'll try and be brief. I wrote most of it down so I wouldn't stumble. My name is Matthew Moore. I live at 4249 Verdugo Road, Los Angeles 90036. Some of what I didn't expect to be called so early, but some of what I'd like to say has been said already, so I'll try and keep this concise. I do encourage you to think today of the things that are said in opposition to the hotel, not as hatred for the proposed hotel, but instead as love for the existing gym. I do feel it's also important to mention that each one of us represents about 300 people that could not be here today. Just to
You're a World Gym member as well?
I am also a World Gym member, yes. So what's essentially being discussed today is the tearing down of a 17-year-old landmark of the community, displacing the family within that community itself and replacing it with what is essentially temporary housing for 134 people. People who will come and go, never get to know each other, never live or work or come to love and appreciate the community they're staying in. And I'm not sure how that brings vitality to a city, which was stated earlier. I think it's important for a community like Glendale to have a place like World Gym, a place that does bring people of the community together. It spreads positivity. It stands as an established landmark of the community, as something that specifically gives this community character, instead of just a faceless facade of new, shiny brass buildings. I moved here from Dallas, Texas, which anything over than 10 years old is torn down and rebuilt. And even then, I had heard of World Gym from halfway across the country. That's how far-reaching its name is, its impact is. We've heard this morning proposals for new businesses that will affect the economic aspects of the city, but I think it's equally important to consider the personal and human aspects of the city, which are often so overlooked in the effort of making a little more money. And I hope you don't treat this as a moot point just because there's another gym that's being built down the road and that we'll all eventually have a place to go anyway. That's like telling someone that you're going to bulldoze their house, but don't worry, there's a more expensive, newer house down the road that's going to be built in a year. You'll be fine. So I encourage you to think of the human element, the members of the community, and the love they have for the gym, a place that does daily improve the lives of the people who actually live, who actually work, who actually contribute to this city itself, and also the established identity that this gym and its 17-year history provides the community. Let's not just tear it down because it's more than 10 years old. Let's instead cultivate it for that exact same reason. Thank you.
Right, thank you very much.
Can I see that document?
Next, I have Barry. Please, let's not. Well, there's other ways. Thank you. Barry Currow?
Yes.
Am I pronouncing it right? Is it C-U?
R-O-W.
Got it. Please state your name and address. Please.
Sure. Barry Carrell. I reside at 1582 Plummer Street in the city of North Hills. I've owned and operated successfully a business within Glendale for the last 10 years. First 2 at Tiffany's Cafe on Pacific. The last 8 years within the World Gym, operating a cafe within the gym. That's how I provide for my family. I'm also invested in the facility itself. There are dozens of hotels within 2 miles of where we are. That's where I kind of pause and say, why are we building another hotel? Also, not only does it provide a place for my family to earn income and livelihood, but there are seniors and there are youth, as other people have mentioned, that come to the facility and provides them a place to work out and provide for their health. It's definitely not just a place. It's a place where people meet and become friends, and family members come there. We have over 6,000 members coming to our facility. We have 900 to 1,100 a day coming in the facility. There are several businesses operating within the facility. We have a cafe operating within the facility. We have a barbershop within the facility. And we have several personal trainers that have their livelihood attached to the business as well. So it's impacting dozens of employees and people that earn income in the facility, as well as the members that come to the facility. So I hope you'll take that into account with your decision. Do you have any questions for me?
So would I be correct that you're more against a hotel than actually whether or not it's 4 stories versus 3?
I would say it's both. I mean, the 4th story also, it's going to impact it with more traffic in that area, transient traffic, so rather than people that live within the community. Point there.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Rose Yalta, sorry.
I live on Orange Grove Avenue. I'm going to be right behind the proposed hotel. And I personally can speak on behalf of a lot of the people within that area that we do not want a hotel right there for our view. It's going to be something, it's going to be too commercial. If it's it's a residential area, very highly dense residential area that doesn't necessarily need a hotel. There are 7 different hotels on the Colorado area that are usually really empty already. There is no need for an actual huge building that's going to end up being pretty much empty. And also to touch on the World Gym, the fact that within the community, within those areas, a lot of people walk to this place, they go to this gym. This isn't going to impact the community in a good way. It's going to impact their health because this is an affordable place for everyone to go to. There are several gyms that students can't go to because they're too expensive. This is affordable to students from Glendale Community College, Glendale High School, even Hoover. They all go to this community, and the seniors in this area, this is some place that it's helped benefit the community rather than hinder it.
Thank you. Angela Hamazopoulos? I got it? Oh, good.
All right. Good morning.
Morning.
Angela Hamazopoulos. I live at 1126 East Palmer Avenue in Glendale. And I've been a World Gym member for, I would say, about 8 years. And it's my family. Originally, I'm from New York. And never have I experienced having such a close-knit community to go to and be a part of every single day that I'm here. And it's really important for me, being that I'm so far away from my family at home. This is my family. And so if you destroy and tear this gym, you're essentially going to be taking away my family and my only connection that I have to this community. And it's one of the things that I take great pride in. And I tell everybody about World Gym and how wonderful it is, and the people that I've met there over the years and the relationships that I've established. Another point that I do want to touch on is the proposed project. One of the points that was made is that the first level of the hotel was going to have all these amenities. But bear in mind, that's going to be for the people who are using the hotel. It's not going to benefit the community, the surrounding area, the residential area, as others have mentioned, is so dense. We do have a high senior population. We have many young people, as others have mentioned, who do use the gym. We will not be able to take advantage of the amenities of the hotel gym or the spa or what have you. It's only going to be for those people who are paying for that hotel. So I don't see how that is going to benefit and spill over into the surrounding community. The proposed 4th story, I noticed that you've been asking everybody about that, what the objections are. I feel that by allowing that 4th story, it's going to open up a pathway for future development along Colorado for other buildings to now have a fourth and then a fifth. And then when is it going to end? And what's going to happen to Colorado? Are we going to turn into a Wilshire Boulevard? One of the joys of living in Glendale is to get away from all of that. If I wanted to live in an area that was extremely dense and commercialized with very tall buildings, I would situate myself along the Wilshire Corridor or by the Grove in Los Angeles. Living in Glendale, actually, it gives me a sense of a smaller community, and one of the things that I look for, the peace that I have living here, the ease of driving, and not having to deal with the congestion. And so we do have a downtown area of Glendale that is being built with several structures, apartments, high-end, everything is high-end. And that's fine along the downtown corridor, and I feel that that will benefit the city, but I feel that this area of Colorado, it's smaller in scale, and it's more quaint, and it does service the larger Glendale community who cannot afford to go to these high-end, nameless businesses and patronize that really don't care about you, and World Gym, they care about you. And I just can't see why we would destroy something that's already so positive.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Valentini Soto? 819 Mariposa Street? I can't read the name, I'm sorry.
Was the lady had left earlier. Had to work.
Okay. Ikuko Omoto?
She left. Yeah. She's the one that left in Coco. Yeah.
So Mr. Sotos may still be here? Soto? They both had to leave. V. Dolakanian? Please state your name and address for the record, please.
Vladimir Dolokanyan, 377 West Lexington Drive, number 3, Glendale 91203. I am a member of this fitness center, but it's not the only reason of my argument. I want to discuss this question in more large context. I could say in more large philosophically context, because fitness movement, I mean typically American phenomenon. In totalitarian countries, sport is opposed to physical culture. They mean the physical culture, physical exercises is occupation for a weak person. This very humanistic, democratic movement. And therefore, I was tremendously amused when I find out that in the quality of victim in this case, they choose that property of Jim. Maybe you could choose more due location for your hotel. But what's about fitness centers? I think it's necessary to keep this kind of culture, but not destroy it. If you can't resolve another decision, find another decision, you can find another location for that fitness center, but not destroyed, not disappeared. I can't understand. In the point of view of comparison, hotel and gym very different and opposite one another properties, because gym is more democratic property, where included all layer of society, from basis to top. But hotel is of elite enterprises, where occupied only some rooms, not all that location. I know in Glendale exists more another hotel where also occupied only 2, 3, 7 room, no more. But in fitness centers occupied absolutely an immense quantity of people. And I ask you, consider not choose unconsidered decision, and think about my request. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Sevan Lagumian?
Yes, sir.
Again, please state your name and
Hi,
address.
my name is Sevan Bugumian. I live on 127 South Everett, apartment 204, Glendale, Cal 91205. I'm against the hotel theory is because I've been a resident in Glendale for almost 20 years, and the gym has been open for 17 years almost. And I've been going to the gym for almost 10 years, and I'm a sales associate over there for almost 7 years. And we have a lot of people that talk about our hotel from other cities, from Glendale Park, Highland Park, Cypress, LA, South Central, which there's a lot of 24-hour fitness, LA Fitness down there. A lot of people could go down there, which they choose not to go down there is because of the price-wise, the atmosphere, and a lot of people up there are very stuck up and don't like to social media out there. But our gym is recognized for more social media. A lot of kids come to our gym to stay out of trouble. A lot of kids come to our gym to be a better athlete than what their position is. And a lot of school, Hoover, Glendale, La Crescenta, Daly, all the high school kids come to our gym is because of our prize and the atmosphere and the social media we have. And compared to other gyms, like a lot of people don't go to other gyms is because of the people that are out there and the people that are very stubborn. They don't talk to each other. They don't help each other. All the people care about other big corporation gym is about the money, get people money, $40 a month here and there. But our gym is mainly recognized for $10 a month, which people could afford in Glendale City. And you know it, I know it, that a lot of people can't afford money in the city, and they try to pick the best gym out there, which is us, $10 a month, $120 for the year. I don't think no other gym will compare to our price. And for me being over here, I'm talking behalf of all my employees, which they can't be here because they're working right now. And our gym is mainly to keep people healthy, social media, talk to each other. And our Glendale is recognized by our World Gym, too. If you go to different cities, different countries, talk about our gym, people come from other countries to buy T-shirts from our Glendale World Gym, It's like people don't go to 24 Hours or LA Fitness to buy T-shirts or to be recognized, but our gym is more of a family community gym we should always have. We keep kids being in troubles, getting arrested and stuff like that. They come to our gym for rehab, for taking stress out, not doing drugs, not going into partying mode. We help people out over here. We're not just a gym to make money and stuff. We help people out in different ways, different health environment. And for them to bring a 4-story hotel, I think it's not the right thing, is because they will block the whole viewing of the residents around us. And I think we already have 15 hotels on Colorado Boulevard. That's more than needed. And us putting one hotel this big in the middle of this Colorado, it's nonsense. It's like you guys are putting a big project in the middle of nowhere, which I don't think the traffic flow that we have right now is way above the limit, and the traffic is going to be way above and what you're going to put in. And I think it's not the right thing you guys are doing, putting a 4-story hotel there. And I think our business should be continued, and we help people with health in every way. And I see you guys should take that off the plan.
All right, thank you. Just a point of clarification. The request is not hotel versus gym. The request that we have before us, and I'll continue to take the testimony. The request before us is asking for a variance to deviate from the code to allow for 4 stories rather than 3 stories. So, is there anybody else here? I've got 4 remaining speakers. I'll just go through it. Jonathan Connolly. Are you also a World Gym member?
Yeah. So I guess in regards to the 4th story, I think it's a sad attempt to cram more people into a confined space.
Okay, thank you. Andrew Foote. Are you also a World Gym member?
I am. Good morning. My name is Andrew Foote. I currently reside in Los Angeles at 1650 Mohawk Street, but I lived in Glendale for 2 years when I moved here in 1984. I've been a World Gym member for over 2 years, and I've come here this morning to speak against the proposed development and variance. First of all, regarding the question of the additional 4th story proposed for this hotel, much of the justification presented here today for this additional story is to make room for hotel amenities provided on the 1st floor, including meeting rooms, a coffee shop, and workout area. These amenities will be for the use of hotel guests and will not directly benefit the community at large. World Gym's amenities, on the other hand, have been enjoyed for almost 17 years by the entire community. If only 100 World Gym members visited this gym to use these amenities every day, and as you've already heard, far, far more use it on any given day, that is over 30,000 members in just 1 year who enjoy these amenities, and over 3 million members in 17 years. That's a lot of people being served, and a lot more amenities that World Gym is already providing compared to what is being offered by the additional 4th story for this proposed development. I am not against development. Having lived in Glendale, I see how development in the city has been managed, accommodating both the needs of major development while preserving the small town feel and the many shops, businesses, and restaurants that make Glendale the special place it is. I have been driving all the way to Glendale for over 30 years to patronize many of these businesses, and I'm a strong supporter of anything that will help them grow and prosper. What I'm against isn't good development. It's development that destroys these thriving businesses, including World Gym. World Gym has been in existence for 17 years, serving not only fitness enthusiasts in Glendale, but those in all the surrounding communities. World Gym has always been affordable and always accessible and is one of the best gyms in the greater Los Angeles area. The same things that make this site attractive to developers is what makes it attractive to its members. It is close to downtown and local freeways, and there is space to park your car for free. There is hardly a gym left in Los Angeles today that offers free parking, and none that can match the modern equipment and friendly service World Gym provides its members. What I'm against here today is development that is going to adversely impact residents, businesses, and their patrons, which will obliterate almost an entire city block of existing businesses and put in their place, directly abutting a dense residential neighborhood, a 3- or 4-story hotel. The local residents will lose the peace and tranquility that the current businesses provide, as well as their services and products. These businesses act as a buffer to busy Colorado Boulevard, and World Gym has always been respectful of the neighborhood. A 3- or 4-story hotel, on the other hand, will have traffic 24/7 and all the noise and activity that accompanies a hotel of this size. to replace existing development that can you. I see my time is expiring.
That's okay. You can continue.
Could I just finish?
Yeah, finish.
To replace existing development that contributes to the city and the neighborhood, that serves the community, with a development that caters to and serves primarily persons who are not residents of Glendale or of nearby communities, and who will stay only a night or two at the proposed location, cannot be considered good development. Any city tax revenues gained by this proposed development will be more than offset by what the city is losing if it is approved. I am not against development. I am for preservation. A bulldozer can destroy in hours what has taken decades to build and grow. What is preserved will be here for the city, its residents, businesses, and neighbors for the future. A future that is in your hands. Please vote against this proposed development. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to speak this morning.
Thank you very much. Next, I have Benjamin Salazar.
Good morning. My name is Benjamin Salazar. I'm actually a patron of World Gym. I'm also a business owner in the city of Glendale at 1545 North Verdugo Road. I'm a marriage family therapist in private practice. I'm also a professor at Glendale Community College. And just real quickly wanted to state that myself included, but many of my students, many of my private practice clients, and many of the staff at Glendale Community College over the years have used World Gym as a place to promoting their mental health, promoting their spiritual health by reducing stress and anxiety. It serves a benefit to the community at Glendale Community College, especially as mentioned here about the students. Many students at Glendale Community College, my students included, attend World Gym, had been longtime patrons like myself at the gym. And then just regarding the variance, it was said here earlier that I'm afraid that it would set a precedence for further development in this area. And, I just environmentally impacting the area in a negative way. But I just, wanted to speak my piece about opposing the variance based on that.
All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Arsho Salazar. Good morning.
Good morning. My name is Arsho Salazar, and my address is 5245 Sierra Villa Drive. I live in Eagle Rock, just right next to Glendale. I was raised and brought up in Glendale, went to Cerritos Elementary. I went to Roosevelt Junior High. I'm a graduate of Glendale High School. I'm also a public health nurse. I'm an RN. And just to say, when I do drive-throughs through a community, I notice everything. I notice where the liquor stores are. I notice where the churches are. I notice the way a city is set up. I notice the buildings. I notice the population, the congestion. And lately I've noticed, down Brand Boulevard and Central, how they've been building, and how things are getting bigger and bigger and congested. And I just feel... you just feel the congestion, you feel the traffic, and it just builds anxiety, and it takes away from the community, and it's turning more and more into like the downtown LA sort of feel. And you think of hotel, you think of criminality, you think of the type of population. You add amenities to it. The only amenity you can add to that is turning that fourth floor into a World Gym for us. We just recently, my husband and I, we went to Palm Springs for our 10th anniversary, our wedding anniversary. They had 3 different World Gyms there, and I just felt at home. They have the Whole Foods there, and you notice, you feel the health of the community there, and this just, when I imagine a 4-story hotel, another hotel, that would be like the 8th hotel in a 1-mile radius, in a 1-mile, region, I just think of a sleeping monster, like a big old
Focus your comments here, please.
Huh?
Focus your comments to me, please.
Oh, I'm sorry.
It's all right.
Yeah, it's just a big sleeping monster building, taken away from our community, and it's just going to be vacant. So that's all. Thank you for listening.
Thank you very much.
All right.
John. Thank you.
Hi, Mr. Collins. I'm Johnny Kubian. I'm also a managing partner here in the World Gym. I'm not going to go in depth of the lease and everything that's been pretty much challenged here, but going to why do we want to change the code? Is there anything in a book to say that this is nothing but gain for one party financially, other than we need it to change the code from 3-story to 4-story? That's my question right now. I mean, is there something that will benefit the community, will benefit the design, benefit anything than the financial strength of the developing party? This is where we stand. I mean, we have spoken, and again, it's just the tip of the iceberg of the people that are being affected by all of this, not just financially, but mentally and also physically. We just want to know, why do we need to change the code? Because by changing the code, you're allowing the destruction of what we have built for 17 years. That's my question. And I would like to hear the answer. What are the rules? Why do we have to change the code? Why do we have to grant this variance to something that it's already been set and in stone pretty much by the city of Glendale in the past? Again, it's nothing but the financial gain for the development party and a disaster for existing party.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Is there anybody else that's here that wishes to speak that I haven't already called? Is that everybody? Okay. Then I'll ask the applicant to come back up. Have opportunity for rebuttal.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Collin. Just to address, the concerns that we heard, I sympathize. I know the people out here. Basically, it's about the use. And I want to emphasize this again. What we are here for, the variance is asking a number of stories. Whether or not the hotel is allowed in this property, it is allowed. It could be a hotel of 3-story. It could be a medical building of 3-story and the same height, 50 feet. This is not about the use. We're not against the World Gym or anything like that. But the property owner has the property rights as well. He's the taxpayer. Now, there are a couple of things being brought up about the, traffic and so forth. We do have a traffic report. It's in a file. And some of the speakers have, if I'm not mistaken here, emphasized that the membership was about 3,000 members. Now, imagine 6,000? 6,000. Okay, good. If you have 6,000 people driving into that property, is it better than 135? So which creates more impact? That's my question. Okay. Obviously, the 6,000, it will create more impact. Now, if you look at the building separation from there was a private, talk about the privacy. One thing that I like to mention, our property, this property, is slightly lower than the northern property, which sits, the apartment projects, which sits north of the project. Is about 4 or 5 feet drop between the properties. And a privacy wall, which is another 6 feet on top of that from the neighbor's property line, will give you about 10 feet. And considering also the slope of the parking lot that we're proposing, it will increase that visual barrier about 12 feet, so which gives you more than a better buffer between the neighboring residential uses. And also about the use, hotel, and somebody was suggesting like a residential use and all this is residential neighborhood. Hotel is the closest residential use, is the closest use to the residential use. It's a very proper use. And the visitors, how the impact would be for the cities and for the businesses, we heard about talking about the businesses. This will impact very positively because the visitors will shop in Glendale, will dine in Glendale, and that is obviously a positive impact for our city. So I think this, the hotel has a lot of advantages as far as the use of the property is concerned. And again, we are not here we're not bottling the use. We're here for the number of stories, which no matter what, if this property ever develops, it could gain that 50 feet could use with the C3 zoning, that 50 feet in height. All we're asking, to bring in a franchise which is nationally or internationally known, which is Holiday Inn Suites, comparingly to the hotels that been mentioned on Colorado that has no name, and you don't get the desirable visitors there. So I think this would definitely positively impact our community. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. There's nobody else here in the audience that wishes to speak. Everybody's covered.
The fate of the gym already been determined?
I don't know. That's a question for the property owner. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take this case under submission, take everybody's comments into account, and the next few weeks a decision letter will be put together, and we'll go from there. So I want to thank everybody for coming out and sharing your comments with me. Appreciate your time and your thoughts on this. As I mentioned, real quick, I'm sorry. Whatever the decision ends up being, there is an appeal process. And based off of the date of the decision letter, any interested party would have 15 days from that date to file an appeal. That appeal would be presented or gone before the Planning Commission. If you're interested in picking up any papers or information on the appeals, you can pick that up over in Building and Safety, room 101, which is just right over here. But no decision's been made yet, so you don't have to all run over there and get appeals yet. But again,
the decision will be made. How long did you say? Was it 10 days, 2 weeks, something of that nature?
That's my goal.
Obligations to our members. We need to know as soon as possible.
Well, the decision that's being rendered is regarding the variance specific to the number of stories, not the use.
Directly impacts our...
I completely understand, but again, the decision is based off the variance for the number of stories, not the use. So you may want to consult with your property owner.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yes, we will. Thank you.
Is it possible to submit written materials pertaining to your
Not after this point. I've got tons of notes here that I took as everybody was speaking. Thank you all very much.
Thank you.
The hearing is now closed. As I mentioned, I thank everyone for coming. It is 11:32 and 45 seconds on January 27th, 2016.